We're going to be adding decimals while crossing the hole. That means that we're going to start off with two numbers that are less than 1, and then we are going to end up with a number that is larger than 1. We'll calculate missing lengths while we're doing this by adding decimals, crossing that hole, as we said, using thousandths, hundredths and tenths. We'll look at how number lines can also be used to make this work easier. You could quite easily use other methods, but the one I'm going to show you today is going to be with number lines. Here is our calculation for today that we're going to look at. I'm going to talk you through this one, and then I'm going to give you some similar questions for you to have a go at. So what we're looking at here is we have got a flower. We know the height of the flower. The height of the flower is marked here, from the floor to the top of the flower, and we know that the height of it is 1.428. Over this side we have got the height from the floor to the first leaf of the flower, and what we're missing is we're missing this height here from the first leaf up to the top of the flower. So how would we calculate the missing height of the flower? What sort of calculation would you do? How would you do it? Would you draw anything to help yourself? Would you use anything to help yourself do that? How would you set it out? Pause the video, have a think about it, try to work it out yourself, and then we'll have a look at it together afterwards. Pause the video now. Okay, so as we said, there's lots and lots of different ways of solving this. The way that I've chosen to do it today is that I have decided that I'm going to use a number line. And we have our two measurements that we had of the flower. We've got 0.874, which takes us to that first leaf on the flower, and then we have 1.428, which takes us to the top of the flower. We need to find out what the difference is between this height and this height, and that will tell us what the missing height was. So let's have a look at how we can solve this. Now we're using decimals, and we have got our decimals of our ones column, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Same here, ones, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I'm going to start off by looking at the thousandth column and seeing how much I need to change that first. So here's my thousandths column here. I've got 4 thousandths. I want to get it to 8 thousandths. So going from 4 thousandths up to 8 thousandths is just the same as going from 4 up to 8. What's our missing number? Well, it's 4. 4 add 4 equals 8. So when we're still talking about thousandths, 4 thousandths, add 4 thousandths will give us 8 thousandths. So let's just change our thousandths to 8 thousandths. So what I'm actually adding on here is 4 thousandths. Thousandths column, hundredths column, tenths column, decimal point, ones column, 0.004 4 thousandths. That's what I've added on. It's always a good idea to make sure that when you're doing these, that you record everything that you're doing, and that includes where you land on those jumps. So I am now at 0.8 tenths, 7 hundredths, but I'm now at 8 thousandths. So I'm now at 0.878. I now need to make the next jump. On my next jump, I'm now looking at the hundredths column, and I have got 7 hundredths, and I want to get all the way up to 2 hundredths, but that doesn't sound right. If we're going from 7 hundredths up to 2 hundredths, that 2's less than 7. What I need to do is I need to make sure that I'm going to end up with this. What I'm actually thinking about doing is this one. 7, add something. I'm going to have 2 in that column. But when I get to 2 up here, because I'm adding on, I'm actually going to end up with 12. So instead of having 7 hundredths, I will have 12 hundredths. And 12 hundredths is actually made up of 2 hundredths and 1 in the next column, tenth. So I'm going to add those on, okay? So what do I add on to there? Well, it's going to have to be 5 hundredths. So let's put those on. Hundredths are bigger than thousandths, so it's a bigger jump. And I'm adding 0.05, because there's my 5 hundredths. I'm not adding any tenths. I'm not adding any ones. And that will get me to, I will end up with my 2 in my hundredths column. I've got an extra 1 in my tenths column. I started with 8 tenths, so that extra 1 will give me 9 tenths. And my ones won't change. Don't forget those thousandths as well that we sorted out with our first jump. So I'm now at 0.928. Okay. Once we've done that, we are now going to jump up to 1.428, because we're now going to, we've sorted the thousandths, we've sorted the hundredths, we're now sorting our tenths, and I've got 9 tenths, and I want to go up to 4 tenths. This is a very similar one to what we had before. What I'm going to actually go up to is I'm going 9, add something, is going to get me to 14. And that missing number, once again, is 5, but this time it's 5 tenths. So this is a great big jump to get us to our final destination. 0.5 is 5 tenths. And that will take me up to 1.428. So what have I added all together? Well, I've added 5 tenths, 5 hundredths, and 4 thousandths. If I think about that in my columns, I've got my ones column, I've got my tenths column, I've got my hundredths column, and I've got my thousandths column. Let's put those digits in. I had 5 tenths, 5 hundredths, and 4 thousandths. How many ones did I add on? Didn't add any on, so I've got no ones. Don't forget the decimal point that always goes between the ones column and the tenths column. 0.554 is the difference. So now let's put that back into the diagram of the flower that we had first of all. So this is total height of the flower is 1.428. The height of the first leaf is 0.874. Then the height from the first leaf to the top of the flower, as we now know, 0.554. And there's my answer, 0.554. Okay, we're now going to give you some questions of your own to do on the video. Have a look at them, have a go at them, and then I want you on your own blog to post the answers. If you're able to take any photographs of the work that you've done, the calculations, the methods that you've used, that will be even better. Good luck with this. If you need any help, post it in the comments, but don't use the comments for your answers. I want your answers in your own blog. Good luck.